You're listening to The Building Code. I'm Tom Houghton.
I'm Paul Worth.
And joining us on today's episode of The Building Code, we have Jenny Sneller from Sneller Custom Homes and Remodeling based in Houston, Texas. Welcome to the podcast, Jenny.
Thanks for having me.
Texas. We just got back from Texas, Tom.
We did, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today on the podcast. Jenny just joined us for our first ever Buildertrend University on the road. We had it in Dallas, Texas last week, and it was quite an event. One-day event, October 3rd. We had over 350 people there, so a lot of people, and it was a great event.
It was awesome.
I mean, that's our take on it, but we want to hear Jenny's take on it.
Yeah, it was awesome. I came with 4 of our employees, so we got a chance to hang out, have some social time, but then, I mean, the consensus was like we drank from the fire hose. It was a ton of information, and it was just, everybody was excited. It was really, really fun.
Good. That's awesome. Well, let's dive in first by just kind of giving a background of your company, and maybe you can talk about those employees a little bit more, kind of, how many homes you build. Give us the rundown.
Yeah. So we started our company in 2011, and it started with my husband, Matt, and I doing everything. So if you had made the org chart at that point, it would have been our names in every single box. So we worked out of our house for the first year or two, very small. And then eventually, about a year in, we started using Buildertrend. So in a way, Buildertrend was kind of our first employee. That's kind of how we look at it. It was our first investment. And we have just grown since then. So now we build about 3 to 5 custom homes a year. We do about 20 to 30 remodels a year. And then we've got 4 employees. So we've got 2 project managers, a selections coordinator, and an office manager.
A little rundown.
Yeah, that's great. So you had mentioned something that I think that a lot of us didn't realize, but I think when you think about it now, makes sense that your team enjoyed being on the road together, like getting outside of the office and just connecting, whether it's on a personal or professional level. You feel like there was some value there?
Yes, for sure. I mean, everyone, when we got back, we were like, man, we need to do that more often, where we all get out of the office, and whether it's an overnight or it's just like a full day of just kind of diving into more process stuff instead of day-to-day running of the business stuff. We just had a great time just getting to laugh, getting to ask each other questions. It was awesome. And I think probably we'll make it, a quarterly or a couple times a year tradition to just sort of get out with each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like that retreat idea that companies have.
For sure.
Just, you don't have to do like the typical like trust falls.
Yeah, no trust falls.
Right.
You just hang out with people.
Yeah.
Outside of the office.
Good, yeah. No ropes courses.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Just some good old-fashioned Buildertrend learning there.
Yeah.
Buildertrend University.
Icebreakers and
That's
cabins
good.
in the woods and weird stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Just be normal. Go to a bar.
So let's talk about maybe some of your expectations you had going into Buildertrend University. What made you say, okay, yeah, we're going to sign up, we're going to do this, we're going to bring 4 of our, 4 team members to this event? Give us some kind of background on that.
Yeah, so Matt had gone to the on-site training this spring, and he came back so fired up about Buildertrend, and he's trying to tell all of us all the stuff, and we kind of felt in the dark a little bit because we hadn't had that experience. So when we saw Dallas was an option, it's a much more affordable way for us to bring the whole team because we can drive there. So we were like, yeah, let's definitely do it. So, expectations, I think I really wanted people to get a little bit more vision about how big Buildertrend is, how much it can help them with their job if they will embrace it. So that was some of my expectation of just like, let's get excited about Buildertrend together. And then 2, just some really specific tasks for them to get comfortable with. So those were kind of the 2 things that I was hoping it would provide.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. So just for the history of Buildertrend University, when we launched this, call it March of 2018, I believe it was, it had been something that our clients had been asking for a very long time, which is there any in-person training? Of course, everybody knows who's a client. You have your one-on-one coach. You have unlimited time with them for making phone calls and doing sort of webinar style trainings online, which we still push as the first option. But there is some value we always knew based on in person, right? Either getting out of the office or having somebody come into your environment. And so we have two options now. We have Buildertrend University, which is 2 days here in Omaha. And then also we have on-site consulting, which our team members actually go to your office. But this is sort of that middle ground where we're actually going to come to you, but still in that group setting where, and a lot of what our co-founder, Dan Houghton, said in the opening remarks of Buildertrend University on the Road is that a lot of the value is going to be speaking to other Buildertrend users, networking, talking about your businesses, some shared common experiences with Buildertrend. And I think from some of the feedback, that was one of the big takeaways is people were having fun together, even though they didn't know each other going into it.
Yeah.
Did you have fun, Tom?
I had a great time. I was running all over the place.
You were running ragged.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. But it was fun.
Your class, by the way, got one of the highest ratings.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. A lot of shout outs to you.
There you go.
Jenny, did you happen to see Tom do his thing on stage?
Oh, I did. Oh, man. It was awesome.
He's a sight to see, isn't he?
His was one of my favorite classes, actually. We learned a ton.
Oh, good.
There you go.
Well, there you go. What was give me one key takeaway of what you thought? Not to put you on the spot, but
from your class?
From my class. Yeah, from my class specifically.
Your class specifically, you gave a lot of great equipment recommendations for shooting video. That was great, and it's inexpensive stuff, which was awesome because most builders can't invest thousands and thousands of dollars in that kind of stuff. So that was super helpful. And then also just figuring out how to organize our folders and files on the back end was incredibly helpful. And tying that into sort of building these templates. I always had thought templates were more of just schedule templates, but I realized, wait a second, we can template every single thing. And so that it was kind of a revelation, like things could be a lot easier if we would do this.
Yeah.
There you go. That's our new tagline.
Yeah, that's good.
Things would be a lot easier if you just did this.
Yeah. I'll give a little background on the class for the listeners. So I co-taught a class called Managing Files and Marketing Videos with some other great presenters here, Andy and Taylor. And so we kind of gave a background on how best practices for managing your files in Buildertrend, but then also I spoke to the marketing side of aspects of Buildertrend and also just making better videos for your company. Because again, it's 2019, and if you're not incorporating video into your business right now, you're definitely behind the curve, and you will be, because they say by next year, 84% of all internet traffic will be video, which is pretty crazy.
It's wild, yeah.
So,
and I think that class is a good example of you're not just learning about Buildertrend there. You know, we try to talk about, I think, things we've learned from being in business with so many contractors over the last 13 years. You know, we really know this side of the business now because of all of our 15,000 plus clients and the different ways they do things and the nuances in their market, things that they can get better at. And I think we try to touch on some of those in the classes as well, which are some good takeaways.
Yeah. So let's talk about your experience at Buildertrend University on the Road. Give us kind of like, you know, for all the listeners who weren't there, give us a play-by-play of, you know, the day, highlights from the day, you know, what you loved, maybe even what you didn't like, you know.
No thanks.
Paul's be doing that.
We're not taking feedback at this time.
Make sure you leave your feedback on the survey. How about that? Yeah, that way it's quantifiable. Anyway, give us some feedback.
Okay, so it starts very early, which
that's a pro, right? I think it's a pro.
We were all dragging down the elevator to get there, but
it was early.
We arrived. Yeah, we arrived and it was like, oh my gosh, it's a real breakfast. Thank you. So we were so happy with, like, it was like a really good hearty breakfast, plenty of coffee. Mm-hmm. We got to sit and eat for a little bit, and then really each session had 2 different class options. And so we would kind of make sure that at least one member of our team was in each of the classes just so we could get all the material. So we would split up and go to class, and you'd have breaks in between to get more coffee, more, bathroom breaks, that kind of thing. And then, again, lunch was awesome. I think our team specifically was just so glad that it wasn't like a sandwich, or like, they were happy that it was like a really nice meal. Because it takes a lot of brain power to sit through these classes and to think. And so they were excited about a real meal. So then after lunch, more classes, and really we were done by about 4:30, and we all jumped in the car and headed back. So we were home by 9 at night. So it was a long day, but fit it all in.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Did you happen to stay for the panel? Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did. Yeah.
Great. I thought the panel was interesting, right?
Yeah. What'd you take away from the panel?
Yeah, we are actually good friends with Matt Reisinger, so it was fun to see him talk a little bit more about social media and stuff. That was a good takeaway. I sat there like creating a Sneller Custom Homes Instagram account while I was sitting there listening.
Smart. Multitasking.
So, we're on Instagram.
Yay!
So yeah, it was fun. It's always fun to hear from people, I think.
I'm going to go follow you guys right now, and we'll just put a link to that in the show notes so you can get some more followers there.
You just got 2 followers right
there. That's awesome.
Yeah, so the panel, we had a really good, interesting group of people there. We had Chad, who's the CEO of Builders First Source, which we found out is the biggest supplier in maybe North America. And then we also had David, who was a previous guest on our podcast from J&T Developers, and he gave some real Buildertrend specific sort of like feedback, which I thought was great, how they use it and how they transitioned, from residential to commercial and multifamily. And then we of course had Matt Reisinger from Reisinger & Co. And he talked about obviously his history about his business, but also how important social media has been in that.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
It was a really good panel,
hosted by our co-founder Dan Houghton.
Yeah,
he was keeping it moving.
He was.
That was good.
It was moving and grooving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, so obviously you said you learned a lot from the conference. What's kind of, maybe give us 1 or 2 kind of key takeaways that you guys were like, okay, either, I don't want to lead you down the river there. You just let us know. Kind of give us one or 2 takeaways.
Lead you down the river. What does it even mean?
Like I'm like a rafting tour guide.
Apparently. Like nobody's ever said that before. First time here.
Well, I'm glad it's the first time. First time for everything. That's a new frame.
Lead you down the river.
You can lead a horse to water, but can you lead somebody down a river? Yeah. Not unless you're a river tour guide.
I think that's a little easier, actually. It's current. All right.
And we're back on track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the template thing is probably top priority for us. We used templates in the past, but not like this, not like what was kind of shown in these classes about what's possible. So that's top priority for us. Is we've started from scratch a little bit, deleted all of our old worthless templates that really weren't working for us, and we're starting from scratch. And we're I think when you go to a conference like this, you've got kind of this fresh level of momentum and excitement paired with like a lot of new knowledge. So trying to ride that wave, as quickly as possible before the momentum dies a little bit is important. So we are definitely setting aside time in the next couple weeks to, create some of these templates and make them start working immediately, because I think that's what continues the momentum.
Yeah, the momentum down the river.
All right.
Down the river, yes.
But on a serious note, one of the things we did was we pre-scheduled a follow-up training, or tried to, with every account. And so I think that's a really important piece to the Buildertrend University on the Road, which you don't get when you come to Omaha. In Omaha, you can come into our office where we have 500 employees, and we can provide you one-on-one time when you're done with your classes. There, that scale just doesn't work out for us. So we'll have that one-on-one time this week for all the attendees. They're going to do it online and over the phone, and they're going to help you implement all the things you learned, which I think is really important.
Yeah. I'm sure you probably have lots of questions, or lots of thoughts, I guess. Yeah.
I think we maybe broke the rules a little bit, and we talked to our coach, Marge, at the conference. We couldn't wait. So we just set aside some time and like sat down, put her on speakerphone, and we just fired questions at her. And she was super excited that we had made time to do that, because, right in the moment, you've got all these things on your mind. So that's kind of how we did it.
Yeah, that's great. I don't think people realize that the Buildertrend coaches here are as invested in your success in Buildertrend as you guys are. So they really love when their clients call them.
Yeah.
They love to help because that's what they do every day.
And Marge is a great coach. I mean, all of our coaches are fantastic. And to Paul's point, they are really invested. Like, when we tell like Marge, hey, Jenny's going to be on the podcast, she'll be super excited to hear this, just like how I'm sure all the coaches are when their clients are on the podcast. So that's really awesome. That was really smart. I'm curious, what did like Andy, your project manager, what did he take away from it? Did you bring both?
So yes. So Andy and Steve are our two project managers. So they came.
Okay. And what did they think?
They loved it. Both of them are very introverted and they still enjoyed it. So, people that don't like crowds or there's not any like weird, awkward, forced networking that goes on at Buildertrend. It's not like, hey, turn and ask your neighbor what their favorite color is. There's none of that weirdness. It's like you can talk to as many people as you want, or you can sit on a couch and work on your own stuff. I mean, there's a lot of freedom. So for any personality type, I think it works. And there was certain little features, like there was this one feature that they were showing that you can hold down the button on the app and a little quick menu comes up, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So little things like that were cool for them to get excited about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Little 3D touch action on the iOS app. Mm-hmm. Those come in handy.
Yeah.
We were big fans of those.
Yeah. That's an easy one that people don't realize that can really save time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
That's really cool. Awesome. Well, we'll wrap this up. Jenny, thank you so much for sharing your experience about Buildertrend University. And of course, we really thank you for being a client, and we wish you continued success in your business. And thanks for taking your time today to talk to us.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, Jenny, appreciate you and the years of business, and we wish you the best of luck. Let's get all this stuff implemented. We'll get it rolling.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks.
Want to share a suggestion for a future guest? Have a question about Buildertrend that you'd like us to discuss, or a topic that you'd want us to cover on the podcast? Let us know by calling and leaving us a message at 402-596-6437. That's 402-596-6437. And who knows, you'll maybe hear yourself on the podcast. Love what you heard? Don't forget to rate and subscribe to our podcast so you can hear from more guests that will benefit your business. Also, please check out our show notes page for more information on what we discussed on this episode. You can find it at buildertrend.com/podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Building Code.
Appreciate you.